Moment I want to show you Son of a Rich, a 2019 Russian comedy film. The movie is about a putrefied Grisha who's entitled to wealth all his life. He's a bum at 27-time-old and only drinks and parties every night. After giving false expedience to a woman he promised to spend the night with, Grisha is involved in an overspeeding violation and is stopped by Captain Semyonov when the ultimate does not accept Grisha's bridegroom. He tries to run down, but the captain mounts the hood of the auto to stop him. Still, Grisha is grim and proceeds to drive despite knowing that a man will be hurt. Table comes by the police station to settle his bail and release, but rather a being thankful. Grisha still demands to be treated like kinginess. This pisses off the chief, so he reminds Pavel that his son's been involved in a lot of troubles the once months, including causing severe injuries to a Bobby. Pavel cannot say anything because of the demotion, so he confronts Grisha once they are out and threatens to cut him off. Still, he just laughs at his pater and does not believe a word he says. In the coming scene, Pebble seeks comfort from his fling Anastasia. She is also a television patron, so she suggests for him to meet one of his former associates. After hearing Pavel's problem with Grisha, he hesitantly agrees to see him because she witnessed for his unusual but largely effective methodology. They arrive at Lev's house the coming day and find him hanging from the ceiling. He latterly reveals that the rope is fake and that his specialty is to develop realistic goods. Lev also demonstrates how he helped a smoker customer quit by fake cutting his cutlet. This shortly freaks out Pavel, but Anastasia persuades him to stay for Grisha's sake. The following part shows Grisha ending the night from lying like usual, but this time his auto is being hauled. While he's handling after it, he suddenly gets shot and drops in the middle of the road. Grisha wakes up in a stable during the 1860s and is dressed as a menial. Moments laterly, a man named Artium arrives and tells him to laden the nags. Before their lord arrives, he is too stupefied to move, indeed, when in fact is formally dragging him out of the stable. After landowner Dmitri and his son Alexei arrive to hang them with a beating and scarify them off. Grisha attempts to escape. He also asks the townies for a phone, but they don't feel to understand. He ultimately reaches the borders but falls into the lake, so he is forced to return and change clothes. Still, he's casted as a raw and is doomed to be penalized. Grisha is about to be hanged with the other captures when Dmitri's son Aglia arrives and begs his pater to free them as a gift to her. While Grisha is being released, a raspberry is swimming above them. It latterly retrieves and heads into a structure outside of city. It's revealed that the raspberry is actually a drone that is part of super eminent scheme to change Grisha's station with Pavel's plutocrat. He and Anastasia run the elaborate product away from retired cameras all over city. There are also gunners that are advised to compose Grisha if an issue is ever encountered. Still, Pavel is still equivocal about his decision, especially when he sees his son getting whipped for real, so Lev convinces him. For Grisha's sake, he also substantiations. Lev and Anastasia argue and suspects that they have a history. Pavel confronts him and learns that the two were formerly wedded. Latterly, the director hands out the accoutrements for the coming scenes and reminds the platoon that they cannot wear anything ultramodern that may compromise the product. After picking up his script, Alexei approaches his real-life gal Liza, who's the caretaker of the nags. He also teases on screen family Aglia, who will be Grisha's love interest and is assigned to sleep with him. As part of the scheme, Grisha tries to accept his awful fate and begins his life as a menial. The coming scenes show him waking up before dawn for work, eating meatless food with insects, going troop every day and living a veritably unsanitary life. He also gets penalized for being rude frequently despite his current rigors. Grisha still hasn't learned his assignment because when he finds Agolia crying because her father wants to wed her to a fat old man, he sees it as an occasion for her to be rich. Formally, he passes down another evidence that Grisha still hasn't changed is when he stole a funk to make haze. He also eats all of it, indeed, though he made argument to do utmost of the cooking. More so, Grisha refuses to admit to his crime that redounded in Arkham getting beaten up. He just watches and pretends to be innocent. Artium latterly shows him his fake scars, but Grisha still does not watch. While Trying to justify his conduct, he spots Lisa dismounting a steed and skirt. Getting wedged, he spots her fashion undergarments and passionately confronts her, which forces the townies to step in. They remove Grisha from cascading Lisa to the ground and allow her to escape just when Papil is induced to halt operations as his son will not ever change. They learn that Grisha actually grew some heart and wants to apologize to Lisa. This disrupts the plot, but Lev decides that the benefit is lesser. He orders the cast to let the meet end. Grisha is given the chance to formally apologize. The two have a moment indeed if they were not supposed to know each other. The coming part of the plot centers around a vacation with a legend that one ends up together with the person they celebrated the night with, while Grisha enjoys the evening with the townies. Aglia informs her that she decides to walk into the lake rather a being forced into an arranged marriage, but rather a fussing about her. Grisha chooses to look for Lisa and spend his time with her. She tells him that she believes he is a time rubberneck and pretends to be amazed by his stories on unborn technology. Their night is after interrupted when Artium tells him that Aglia might be in peril. Grisha also rushes to the lake and saves her. She also tries to betray him, but he declines and rather looks for Lisa. Once the product staff are all hidden, Lisa faces him but refuses Grisha's offer to spend the night and prove the legend right. These recent developments move Lev to tweak the plot and use Alexei to further test Grisha's enhancement. The ultimate proves that he hasn't changed a lot because he is still not repulsed by Alexei's annuity when he is in the same situation as in ahead. Still, this changes when Mitri offers Grisha to take his son's discipline in exchange for freedom and good food. He happily accepts the deal and indeed remembers to partake with Artyom his food. On the other hand, being mates in a design rekindles Anastasia and leads closeness when he grows jealous and upset. Lev assures Pavel that he is who she loves. This surprises him and changes how he views their relationship. Grisha is being penalized and whipped constantly, which proves to be too important for Pavel. When he exits the room, Anastasia follows him and asks him to trust Lev's process. She also reveals that she was the customer who quit smoking because of the cutlet cutting trick. Meanwhile, Grisha endures the pain so he can ask for his release papers from Dmitri. Still, it's Alexei who faces him and beats him up rather of fulfilling their side of the deal. Lev expects that this will incense Grisha and him to fight back, but he chooses to leave without doing anything. We can see in the coming scenes that Grisha now accepts his new life. He and Lisa also spend further time together and they start developing passion. Still, she is forced to lie when one of the cans malfunctions and tells him that she treats the raspberry as her guardian angel. Lisa successfully distracts Grisha and the platoon regains control before he can be lulled. Meanwhile, Alexei is jealous of Lisa and Grisha, so he brigades up with Aglia, who's also furious about being replaced as the leading lady. They ultimately resort to sleeping together and are caught by Grisha and Lisa. In the end, they're both fired by Lev. Alexei's infidelity brings Lisa closer to Grisha. He surprises her with a romantic date and they go stargazing together. He knows he has fallen for her, so Grisha admits that he will marry her if he was free. He also confesses that he didn't attack Alexei ahead because he saw his history in him. Lisa realizes that he is a changed man and kisses him. The following part shows Aglia going on Era's vengeance and exposes that Grisha has been abducted and is presently being tortured. This sparks a police disquisition that sends Pavel into fear. Modi instructs Lev to shut down the product, but he declines, claiming that they're too close to the end. Lisa is confessing to Grisha how everything has been real for her when Artyom interrupts to advise them that a group of Mongols have arrived to foray the ville when Grisha refuses to come and insists that it's safer to run down. Lev instructs Artyom to say that the Mongols will burn the ville if the workers are not complete. He manages to move Grisha. They arrive while the Mongols' leader is choosing the coming woman who would be their immolation. When he spots Lisa and calls her forward, she pleads for Grisha's help, but he's too spooked to fight back. He's running down when he notices the raspberry drone over and recalls that it's Lisa's guardian angel. This changes Grisha's decision and he becomes stalwart enough to defend his woman. He mounts a steed and goes back to master the Mongols with Lisa's stick. Before they escape together on the other hand, the police arrive to probe Lev's product, but they manage to drive them down. Pavel and Anastasia also prevaricated that they are just filming the movie. That forces the police to lead without an arrest. The coming part shows the couple riding past the borders. They reach a gas station that confuses Grisha, but before Lisa can explain everything, he is knocked out by the gun. Latterly he wakes up in a sanitarium and is told that he was in a coma for 3 months. Pavel also plays dumb when asked about the vil. Grisha tries his stylish to be his once tone, but it's proven that he formerly changed. He indeed gets Captain Simeon off his auto as a reason for injuring him. Grisha also bumps Nito, Alexei and Elijah at a club, so he asks them about Lisa. They originally pretend not to know him, but latterly decide to help him. In the coming scene, Grisha is taken to a